Come along, children. Now we're going to have a little music.
Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to First Cut. This is our spoiler review of the Marvels. We are here to break it all down. I'm here with RB3. RB3, we've been talking about the anticipation for this movie. The SAG strike is finally over. We're seeing a little bit of Brie Larson, a little bit of Teyonah Parris, and a little bit of Iman doing a little bit of the press runs and going to theaters. But how are you feeling now that the movie is out?
I was excited for it. Not really excited. I'll be honest, going into it, I was like kind of whatever on it because I didn't really love the first Captain Marvel film. I did think it was better. At the time, I thought it was better than DC's Wonder Woman. Retroactively, I don't think as much. I think Wonder Woman is a little bit better. But seeing the director of this being Nia DaCosta, Black woman, first time an MCU film has been directed by a Black woman, that's what got me excited. Teyonah Parris, I've obviously talked about extensively on this channel from her work in Chirac, Dear White People, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. And yeah, I've always just had a crush on her. So, and Iman Vellani, we talked about the Miss Marvel show here on First Cut as well as my boy Wickham. Shout out to Wickham at home too. He's a dope guy. And yeah, I mean, even Secret Invasion, we didn't really talk about it, but it was also kind of a tie-in. That's what really got me not excited, was seeing Secret Invasion and thinking, is that going to tie into anything in the Marvels? Thankfully, it didn't. Thankfully, nothing. They seemed like they just retconned that whole thing.
It did.
And in terms of the movie, obviously it was getting bad reviews. I don't think it's as bad as people made it out to be. I think the 57 or 59% on Rotten Tomatoes is really just a reflection of how bad, not even bad is the wrong word, how atrocious the first 40 minutes of this movie was. That's really where the problem is. If just the beginning, just the first act of, them all being separated and trying to time jump to each other and stuff, it was unwatchable. That was incomprehensible. It was utterly garbage. And that's what I almost walked out after that point. But once they finally got on the ship and started being the team, started teaming up, then it started making sense. So, yeah, and I ended up having fun with it. So, yeah.
I think that's what it is. I feel like we're in a difficult place with Marvel right now, where the terms of fun, of quirky, of jokes, of all this kind of stuff that we've seen in the Thor Love and Thunders and the Quantumanias and this kind of like weird era of the Marvel universe that we're currently in. It's interesting to find a better version of that, and I think that's what this is. I think this is a better version of what a Quantumania, of what a Love and Thunder was trying to do, to be just a comedy, just fun, just goofy, quirky, kooky movie that Marvel has been trying to do, again, since the end of Endgame. Just doing a pure comedy as they've done in the past with maybe like an Ant-Man or Guardians 1. But I think this movie nails that when it comes to just doing a fun, goofy movie with a lot of cast chemistry, with amazing performances like Iman, like Teyonah, and like Brie Larson, who all do, and Iman's family. I think Kamala's family is great in this movie as well. I think they really hold the movie together when it comes to the heart of the movie and when it comes to just the vibes of the movie, I guess, because it's such lax vibes. Everything is so relaxed, even though the stakes are so high. And I feel like they kind of add to that. So I personally really enjoyed it. I really do feel like it perfected that kind of formula of trying to be just pure comedy and just pure fun and not worry about anything too crazy. But at the same time, I do recognize that it does have some issues with the rushness of it all. I just still feel like Marvel is desperately trying to rush. And just like you could feel scenes in the cutting room floor. You could just feel the way that Teyonah Parris submitted a movie. And they were like, we're just going to split this in half. We're just going to cut it in half. So I think that's my biggest concern in the movie.
Yeah, that's, again, I mean, I tweeted about it before, but if DC fans can unite and get Warner Brothers to get a release the Snyder Cut movement out there, get a 4-hour Justice League out there, can we at least see a 2.5-hour version of this movie? Seriously, I mean, it looks like they really did have a 45-minute, more extra 45 minutes in there. It looked like, it seemed like just from the villain's motivation, we're kind of going to spoiler territory in this video, the villain's motivation seemed like it was a whole different movie. Like, it seemed like that was a Captain Marvel 2 of her taking down that Creed AI thing or whatever and then starting that whole thing. It's like, We missed a big chunk of her backstory. I just think the way they handled that whole first sequence of them all switching with each other was just so badly edited. Now, I'll say this. Shame on Marvel for letting 14, 13-year-old boys in Texas decide what editing decisions they're going to make in their movies now. Because when did they start test screening? They didn't start test screening for a long time. I've been reading their MCU book that they just came out with, or not them, but that journalist came out with. And they had a very good process of doing internal screenings with Disney employees, a process of, the brain trust approving stuff. Why did they do test screenings for this movie? Like this movie in particular, I feel like that concept of them time switching mid-action scene, one conversation with Nick Fury, one conversation with the family, like that is almost such a high level, almost like a Nolan level kind of concept that could have worked really, really well if it was just like well edited. But you could just tell they're like, oh, we need this quicker. We need to get to the team up quicker. So like, let's hurry this up. And that just didn't move. Like that just didn't move me at all. Like, I don't know. Bad editing. They definitely set up a lot of emotional threads that never got paid off either. Like the fact that, there's that whole thread in the beginning where Iman Vellani's character was, Kamala Khan was looking up to Carol Danvers like a lot. But then when she actually meets Carol Danvers, it's like she's being mean to her. She's kind of talking to her kind of crazy. And that's something that was like, kind of lightly touched on, kind of briefly hinted at, but they never really fully explored that theme. And I thought that could have been really interesting, like how that feeling is of like meeting your heroes per se. Little things like that is like really where the movie had, again, a lot of potential, but just like left it on the wayside because of bad editing, because of deleted scenes. But it could have been there, and I think it would have made the movie richer.
I feel like Marvel, I said this in Love and Thunder, and I said it in Quantumania. I think I've said it in every movie besides maybe Wakanda Forever. I feel like Marvel is getting this weird position in this weird era. And I know that article came out, and I have a lot of pushback on that article, in my opinion. I have a lot of thoughts on it. I never said it because it was like weeks ago. But I do feel like they're missing the point of what the issue with Marvel is. And I think this is what it is, what you just said. This obsession with like test screenings now, this obsession with like rushing every storyline and getting to the action, like this feels like Kevin Feige being in the editing room and just being like, let's hurry up, guys. Let's see the fight scene. And it's just like, that's what he said in Secret Invasion, that article that came out that everyone ignored. No one really clicked and read that article that said Kevin Feige did the finale. Yeah, that was Kevin Feige. That horrible ass finale we saw in Secret Invasion, where it was just like 25,000 superpowers in one person fighting Gravik and just destroying the character of Gravik and destroying everything the Skrulls did in that show, was Kevin Feige. And it was just this rushed idea of like CGI fight scene. And we've seen that in every single Marvel project, except maybe Loki. We'll get to that. But I feel like that's what this is. This is an idea of pushing the screen time as many screen times as possible, as many screenings as possible, and pushing that under 2 hours so low to the point that it becomes slightly incomprehensible, where you can't follow what's going on.
Not slightly.
kind of incomprehensible. And at the same time, it's this old school CEO studio mentality of like the Kevin Sujihara, right? Where he said that I want to put movies as low as possible and pump up the screenings so that it can make more money. And I'm like, if that's your idea of making movies, you shouldn't be making movies. I'm sorry. Yeah. Let the director submit a film. If it's 2:15, if it's 2:10, if it's 2:20, I don't care. We're there. We're already here. I can wait another 15, 20 minutes to see those few more scenes that Nia DaCosta wanted to see. It would be a lot more easy to follow, and it would be probably a lot better of a movie, and it would probably get a lot more praise and critical reception, which would help box office performance.
Exactly. And I do genuinely feel like there are scenes in this movie that some people clown, but I think would have been, or in their current state, already kind of inventive and subversive, but actually would have been even more so, like with more into it, right? I'm talking particularly about the musical sequence planet that they go to, where there is clearly, they get to the planet and then they go straight to the action scene. which was like, okay, there was clearly a giant musical number that was cut out of there.
And I wanted to see it.
Yeah, that would have been amazing.
It would have been funny. Yeah.
And that would have been a subversion of the Captain Marvel character, who's like this uptight pilot military person. She has to literally become a princess on this planet. That would have been dope. Same thing with the cats and the Flurkins. I mean, that one didn't seem as like chopped down as compared to other scenes, but that was funny. That was inventive. That was original. That was, if that would have came out in a James Gunn Guardians of the Galaxy movie, people would have ate that up. But I feel like because it's Nia DaCosta, because it's Captain Marvel, and people didn't like the first Captain Marvel, and because it's, you know, just all this bad press that's been around it, they are automatically just being like, oh, it's a girl movie. They have cats. You know, they have a scene from Cats. They have musical sequences, da-da-da-da. Which is like, bro, no, like, this was cool. This might have been one of their better comedies. And I do think, despite, you know, I think the editing is really bad in a lot of parts, but I think when it gets really good, it actually does usurp things like Thor: Love and Thunder, Ant-Man Quantumania, you know, the second Ant-Man film as well, I think was, you know, okay, Ant-Man and the Wasp. But to me, you know, when you go just by the second half of this film, it actually is one of the better MCU movies. So they had the opportunity. There was a great movie somewhere in there, but I don't know why they just chopped it up to pieces in such a hacky way. Like, I've never, and I'm not putting that, you know, I'm not putting that solely on Kevin Feige, because I feel like Kevin Feige's made a lot of great decisions in the past. I do think, you know, there is a central lack of creative voice, because also in that MCU book they talk about how Phase 2 was basically all Joss Whedon, like doing rewrites and passes on all those scripts. Phase 3 was a lot of James Gunn, right? A lot of James Gunn was doing passes and rewrites. They don't have anybody like that anymore. They don't have anybody who's like looking at every single project or looking at the scripts and like doing like quality control, essentially. So I mean,
they do.
Well, they do. But
I mean, Kevin Feige.
But I mean, but the man's producing 8 TV shows and 4 movies a year, though. Like, he can't. Yeah. He just literally can't be hands on with everything, and that's the problem. Like, they're doing too much. They're dedicating too many resources, and they're becoming more of a factory machine as opposed to in the beginning of Marvel, they were kind of almost like a interesting tech company inside of like the Hollywood system that was like kind of doing things differently. And I just don't know where that went. I don't know what happened to that.
But if I could push back a little bit, I still feel like there is a quota, there is a factory maker, there is a person at the top who is making this factory type system. I don't feel like this is just coming from nowhere, where they're just like, we lost James Gunn, so now it's just a factory working on its own. No, we still have a head honcho who is making these decisions to cut these movies to pieces. I mean, this isn't the first one. I said the same thing about Love and Thunder, man. I really did feel like Love and Thunder had a good 10 more minutes in there that could have made a couple more scenes make a lot more sense. And Quantumania is like a whole different level, because that movie is just completely incomprehensible. But I feel like there is a rhythm here that we're starting to see, that this isn't coming from nowhere, man. This is coming from someone at the top who is making these decisions, who is saying, let's get to it, and who's snapping his fingers. And if we read that article from Secret Invasion saying that the one who wanted this super secret invasion scroll mess of a battle was Kevin Feige, and that he specifically asked for it, and he quoted him, his literally line by line saying, I want to see a super scroll CGI fight or something like that. I was like, this is terrible. And we have to say what it is. I don't care if this guy's like considered a god to so many people. He's not. He's just another suit. That's what he is, bro.
I mean, he is a suit. Dude, he is a suit. But look, we can't not say that he didn't also make Avengers Endgame. He didn't make the first. He also made the first Black Panther. Like, all of these, like, all the triumphs of Marvel, Kevin Feige was there for too. So like, of course he takes the losses, but like, it's
you gotta
also
take that
too,
L's, bro. You're only as good as your last game, bro. Come on.
No, but but you also as good as your teammates too. And he only got the teammates. Victoria Alonso got ousted. They don't have like a good writer. They don't have like a good central writer.
I disagree with that, because I feel like his teammates are the filmmakers. Trust the filmmakers. Trust Nia DaCosta. Trust him. Trust who you're talking to. Like, this is, you can't just hire talent and then just shit on what talent is trying to do. And talent is also directors. And I feel like his trust in directors in the past is what got him his success. And now that those directors have moved on to bigger and better things, aka James Gunn, or maybe even a Ryan Coogler, like, his trust in Ryan Coogler is what got Black Panther.
Exactly.
So many people give credit to like Kevin Feige for so much stuff, but so many people forget that the filmmakers he hired and the filmmakers he trusted are the ones who made the good products, not him.
No,
Like,
exactly, bro, exactly.
That was the filmmakers.
But they're still getting good filmmakers too. I don't think. My thing is, I don't think it's Kevin Feige. You know what I mean? I don't think. I think if it's Disney. Like, it's the Disney executives. He got bosses. You don't think Kevin Feige got bosses? He was dealing with years of
said in that
money.
article, bro. I want to see a Super Skrull
that's
CGI fight.
Okay, but that's Secret Invasion. That's Secret Invasion. Like, that's one thing. Everybody's allowed to have one bad day. You know what I mean? Everybody's allowed to have one bad day.
I think Quantumania is like another.
But he didn't direct that movie. I don't think Kevin Feige is in the editing room telling the people, we got to cut this, we got to cut that. I think there's a lot of other people, a lot of other executives that Kevin Feige got to answer to, where he's feeling the pressure, he's feeling the heat. Like, all right, I guess like Disney doesn't want to give me another $200 million to do another one, so I got to do this. Like, I feel like that's what's going on. I feel like the man freaking does. Like, I mean, just look at these TV shows, bro. Like 8 different TV shows. 6 different movies, like all these things. Like, he ain't gonna have, of course, anybody will be like on 22 hours awake, 2 hours of sleep. Like, yeah, I want to see a Secret Skrull. I want to see Super Skrull happen at the end. I think that could be a good idea. Like, sleep deprived, have no idea what he's thinking. Like, yeah, that's part of the problem. But it's executives too. I'm just saying, Feige did some good stuff, over the course of the MCU. But like, I'm just not putting it all on him.
I just feel like the filmmakers we have now, like Nia DaCosta, and the fact that you can see, and I think we both agree, we can see a great movie in this pretty good or pretty fun movie. And that's what's frustrating, because if it was just like, I don't know, like another Ant-Man Quantumania, then we would be like, whatever.
Yeah.
But the fact that there is a lot of good in here that could be great, if you just add those 15, 20 minutes, just let it be, bro. I don't understand why people are obsessed with, again, test screenings and this idea of like getting an audience in, getting an audience out, snapping our fingers. Let's go. Like, this rushed idea of what a film is should stop being the case. Like, just trust the filmmaker. I don't care if we need another 5, 10, 15 minutes to see another scene with Kamala and with Carol Danvers and with Monica. That would help me. It would actually be a better film because of it. So I like what the movie gave me. I really liked Iman. I loved Iman, actually. And then I really loved what Teyonah and what Brie did as well. I think they just held the movie together. I really do. So any favorite moments or thoughts on the actual plot of the movie?
Yeah, I mean, well, I actually go into what you're saying about Kamala and her family. Like, I thought the scene when the Flurkin had threw up the Kree inside their house and the family all had to start fighting the aliens. Like, I thought that was funny how they had to do that. I love the cat scene. I do wish like Samuel. Again, I do feel like this was a result of like Secret Invasion not going well, so they just was like cut everything Samuel Jackson. But I feel like Samuel Jackson was like barely in the movie. Like, he was just kind of there as like a background prop or whatever. And I would have liked to have seen that follow up. And but speaking on, what's interesting though, as much as I loved Iman Vellani, is that pronounce her last name? Vellani, yeah. I actually don't feel like Brie Larson and Teyonah Parris are actually that good. Like, I actually feel like they were kind of bad. Particularly Brie Larson. I feel like Brie Larson was just like, I think really in the first half, I felt like she was not, I think it's because of the result of a bunch of chopped scenes, a bunch of like scenes that were removed, right? But I think in the first half, she was just literally just looking and like deadpan and almost reading the lines with like no energy. And then Teyonah Parris, her dialogue was only saddled towards this like scientific mumbo jumbo exposition. So like she really barely had a character moment outside of the flashbacks when, they're seeing like her backstory and stuff like that. And by the end, when she goes into the thing and ends up closing the thing. So those were cool, but yeah, I really do feel like Iman was like really the one to bring the film to life, to the point of where it kind of almost felt like a Miss Marvel movie. Like, it felt like a Miss Marvel movie featuring Carol Danvers and Spectrum,
Monica Rambeau.
Rambeau, yeah. So I did I enjoyed her performance, and also I enjoyed the cameo from Tessa Thompson as well from Valkyrie. That was a great scene. But then again, it raises another question of like, where are they taking the Skrulls? Like, where's that going?
Yeah,
but then didn't like the president in the last movie say like
yeah.
they're like banned from Earth or something like that?
Yeah.
And then it's like I don't know. Which actually, you know what though, speaking on that Valkyrie scene though, it was nice. I definitely feel like Nia DaCosta was like, oh, Tessa Thompson's my girl. She's been in all my movies. Like, let's bring her into this one. Like, just like she's in this too, right? So let's bring her in. And then I actually thought the bad guy was mad forgettable, but I thought the performance wasn't that bad. I thought when she was acting, I thought she was okay. I just thought she didn't have any backstory or much backstory time. Again, it's another problem with the editing. So, you know.
Yeah, I feel like there was definitely a lot there in the editing, in my opinion, as far as I think her name was Zarbin.
Zarbin, yeah. That's Tom Hiddleston's girlfriend too, if I'm not mistaken.
It is, yeah, or fiance. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I did like her. I actually liked her. I don't know if it's part of what you said, if it's maybe her performance. I felt like her motivation was clear. I don't feel like I needed to know more as far as her motivation. I would have loved to learn more about her, but her motivation to me was clear, and her performance was actually really good in my opinion. So I don't understand why people are saying that she was terrible. I didn't think she was terrible at all. I thought she was actually really good compared to especially what we've seen in the past when it comes to Marvel villains. I don't think she's in the bottom tier at all. I think she's maybe mid-tier, which is pretty good considering what we've had in the past. So I actually liked her quite a bit. And, you know, obviously she died in spoilers, but what did you think of, now we're getting to the ending, and then we see Photon, Monica Rambeau close that little quantum portal, and then we get the post-credit scene, the mid-credit scene, I guess.
Right. Well, because I feel like the Kate Bishop scene was probably originally the mid-credit scene.
Yes.
Then that was the post-credit scene, which is like, again, Marvel being like, let's shorten the run time. Marvel being like, let's just put that at the end, and then this one at the mid-credit. Speaking on the X-Men one, speaking on Beast, I like the setup for that scene. I kind of felt like I knew where it was going a little bit because she had the blanket on, and I'm like, oh, okay, like they're clearly in some sort of like I just guessed it was X-Men because the next movie was Deadpool. That's like literally the one thing I was like, it got to be something setting up Deadpool. So then like he turned around and it was Kelsey Grammer. I didn't even know that was Kelsey Grammer when he started talking. I didn't even his Beast looked pretty unrecognizable from the way it looked in the 2010s movies. But it was cool though. It was cool. It was nice seeing that, and it was nice seeing another callback to Charles. I think it's interesting that it's seemingly in almost every other universe, Monica's mother, she ends up being like a Captain Marvel or a Captain Marvel X figure in almost every other universe besides like the main 616 universe, which is just crazy to me. Thinking of the Doctor Strange movie, she was Captain Marvel in that. I mean, I don't know her character. I guess is Proton. I don't know really what that character is, but it feels like a Captain Marvel.
It was binary, right?
Or binary. Yeah, binary. Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah, it feels like a kind of like Captain Marvel kind of character. So it's like,
I think so.
It's very interesting that like that is the through line with her. But I like that. I like that scene.
I can't lie. I didn't see it coming at all. And I don't know why. I thought it was going to be like some sort of eternal thing because it was like this space, they're far away in space. Maybe it's another dimension where, I don't know. I mean, I don't know why I was thinking Eternals for some reason. But when we saw that it was Beast, because obviously I didn't know who Maria Rambeau was supposed to be, because that's who we see first. But when I saw Beast, immediately I was definitely taken aback, but at the same time I'm nervous. I'm so nervous because I told you that X-Men is that one thing where I'm like, oh, I think at the rate we're going, I think Marvel might just like crap the bed with this one, and I'm so afraid that they will. But at the same time, that new Rockstars video, which I think you saw too, right? The post-credit scene one, where they talk about how, or Eric kind of speculates that his theory is that this is the continuation of the Fox X-Men universe, and just basing it off Deadpool, basing it off Kelsey Grammer. And I immediately was watching that video and I was like, please no. You imagine, you're telling me they're going to bring back James Marsters Yes, I was like Jean Grey. Oh my God,
I was gonna make it old people.
it's gonna be like old people home X-Men. Like I grew up with those movies, man. Like
Mm.
I love those movies, but stop. Like let a new X-Men rise. Like let it be a new generation of X-Men. Like if you want to bring back Kelsey Grammer to play a different version of Beast in this mocap weird version,
Mm.
that's cool. I'm cool with that. But please do not make it a continuation of the Fox universe. That makes no sense to me to bring back these characters. And then again, to bring back Charles, super old man Charles. It's cool. It's fun. People have this nostalgia goggles on, but I don't think it's sustainable. It won't last 3, 4, 5 films. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'd be curious. I mean, I'd be mad curious. I thought the original plan was that they were gonna recast a lot of these X-Men, but I'm guessing from Hugh Jackman, I'm guessing from, like you said, Kelsey Grammer and homeboy Patrick Stewart from Multiverse of Madness. Yeah, it probably is gonna be a continuation, which is cool. But I do think like I would love to see teenagers like they were setting up Miss Marvel to be a mutant at the end of the Miss Marvel series. So I would love to see it be a new class of younger mutants that we just haven't seen before. Like even we don't even have to go with the mainstream X-Men characters like Cyclops or the Ice Dude, or all those guys. Like we could really go with or Kitty Pryde. We could really go with like a whole new like lesser known characters of X-Men and let them be the new generation. I'll be totally happy with that. So,
but even if you're doing I mean, because obviously they are if they have Beast in there. Even if you are doing the original X-Men, why not get new actors, get a new cast, get a new version of these characters, get a new Jean, get a new Storm, get a new Scott Summers. Like I don't think this is such a bad idea to introduce a new version of them. And I know we've already seen a new version of them technically with like a Sophie Turner and stuff like that, but I feel like doing it one more time and just getting it right would be a great idea. But that's just my concern. Obviously, we'll see what happens in the future, and I'm still excited for what they're going to deliver. So
one thing that makes for me an X-Men movie kind of weird in today's era is that we've already seen shows like Umbrella Academy, like Gen V, like all these very high school set shows that are very heavily inspired by X-Men and that are actually doing the X-Men concept a lot better than the X-Men movies were and at least the 20th Century Fox was. Like, I'm kind of curious as to what angle will they even make it? Like, because it can't be Gen V is very high school, more college oriented, like coming of age story, which is cool. Is Marvel just going to straight up make like another Spider-Man, homecoming kind of vibe, like all high schoolers? Or are they going to try and make it like a serious continuation or anything like that? I don't know. That's what makes me curious. But I mean, I will say like I do think putting that scene at the end of this movie was a little bit. It matches up because, like I said, with the Deadpool coming next and Miss Marvel being a mutant as well, but also it doesn't really fit as much because I just feel like y'all could have set that up and like Wakanda Forever or something big. Like I just wish there would have been like a marquee. I mean, I guess the Marvel, they would have assumed the Captain Marvel sequel made $1 billion would be pretty marquee, but they didn't put any effort into it. They didn't put any effort into marketing this movie. If you're gonna end the movie on such a big Easter egg like that, like I wish y'all would have just put as much attention into the movie as y'all did the post-credit scene. But again, it's like another example of like setting up the universe ahead instead of focusing on the universe now, which is I think a problem that the Marvel competitors have always fell into. They're not Marvel itself, so it's sad to see. But I do wish that we'll see a good X-Men movie that's new and original and fresh. I just don't know how to approach it.
I'm afraid for how they're going to approach it, but you already know my thoughts on that. I just feel like Marvel struggles when it comes to doing anything actually revolutionary or groundbreaking or thought-provoking in any way. They just kind of end at like, we tried our best, and that's kind of where they usually end up. But we'll see. I guess either way, I just feel like it's amazing what the Marvels did considering what you see it going through. in real time as you're watching the movie, the fact that you could see the strings being pulled down, the studio hand, the invisible studio hand, like pulling up and ripping up a scene in real time as you're watching the movie. And it's still kind of fun, and it's still kind of quirky and cool, and you're having a good time watching it. So the fact that it was able to do that, I'm gonna give it a lot of credit. And I feel like a lot of credit goes to the cast and to the directors. So shout out to the Marvels. I really enjoyed it. But any final thoughts, RB3?
Yeah, if I could skip the first 40 minutes of this movie and never watch that again in my life, I'll be totally happy. But then when they get to that ship and they actually start talking to each other and teaming up, then it's like it becomes a real film. And I wish they would have. I wish that even if it just came down to an hour of just that, like that would have been better than putting out an hour 40 of nonsense.
Anyway, guys, that's where our thoughts on the Marvels. Let us know what you thought in the comments down below. You can follow me at Squad Leader Race. You can follow us at First Cut. RB3.
You can follow me Twitter, Instagram at Director RB3.
Either way, guys, for the First Cut crew, we're going to be peacing out. So peace, deuces.
It's either me or you. Take you out the equation. It's either me or you. You do the math. Only one can remain.